Hello everyone, my name is Owen and welcome back to the channel. Crazy, it's been a year since I last uploaded, sorry about that. Anyways, today's video is going to be a bit different from my usual content, since it's not a theory video. Instead, this is the start of a new series, in which each episode I will analyse a different Puppetcombo game and see how you could beat it. Today we will look at the mistakes made by its main character Sarah and come up with different ways you could have beaten Neokalus Burr from Babysitter Bloodbath. But first, I'll quickly summarise the plot of the game and go over the rules and conditions of the scenario, so that we can get a better understanding of what we are up against today. But be warned, this video contains heavy spoilers for Babysitter Bloodbath and its novelisation. Anyways, sit back, relax, have a Subway sandwich, and enjoy the video. Plot summary. Okay, to start off, Babysitter Bloodbath takes place in Washington State, sometime between the late 70s and early 80s. You play as a teenage babysitter called Sarah. Your job is to babysit a young child named Billy, while his parents are out on a date. Early on in the night, Sarah invites over her boyfriend, Jack. However, as the night goes on, things slowly start to take a turn for the worst. Unbeknownst to Sarah, a psychotic serial killer had escaped from Lincoln State Mental Asylum earlier that day, this psycho being the notorious Neokalus Burr. He, for some reason, calls the houses he plans to break into as an early warning for what's to come, possibly to scare homeowners and make them leave before he arrives. Once Jack arrives, Sarah hears rustling and a loud thump coming from the backyard and sends the down bad Jack to go investigate. I have no idea why she'd send someone out at night, also knowing that there is a literal serial killer on the loose. This is probably the most stupid mistake seen throughout the entire game. The lights then go out and Sarah hears an awful scream coming from the backyard. She goes out to investigate and finds Jack's impaled body, loosely stuck to the fence. I guess you could say she left him hanging. Anyways, moments later, Neokalus tries to attack her, but she bum rushes it to the door, where Billy thankfully lets her back in the nick of time. She then warns Billy to go hide, as Neokalus breaks into the house. As Neokalus chases her down, she narrowly escapes him by sliding down a laundry chute, and landing in the basement. She then makes her way back upstairs and grabs a hidden revolver from a storage closet, and then heads down to the backyard, where she goes into the utility shed and grabs a can of gasoline, planning to gas her car up to escape with Billy. She then makes her way to the garage, where she fills up the car and blasts Neokalus with a shit ton of bullets. She presumably kills Neokalus. The scene then cuts to Sarah talking with a detective about the incident. It is then said that Neokalus's body was nowhere to be found by the time the police arrived at the garage, indicating that Neokalus went on to live another day. However, the greatest plot twist of them all was that Jack was actually gay and not looking for pussy, as revealed by the police officer who was grieving about his lost boyfriend. But now that we're done with the plot summary, we now need to move on to the rules and conditions of this scenario. Rules and conditions. Sarah can only use objects and information given at the time to her advantage. By the time Sarah finds out what she's up against, Neokalus has already made his way into the house, so ideally we're looking for a solution that removes risk, ends the conflict sooner, and a solution that saves the life of her boyfriend. First, let's talk about Neokalus's motives and abilities. You wouldn't be able to tell this from the game, but from reading the Babysitter Bloodbath novelisation, I was able to piece together some information about the motives and backstory of Neokalus Burr. This is the final warning for spoilers. In the book, we find out the Johnson household, Billy's house, was actually Neokalus's old family home, where he used to live. However, one day he just went insane and murdered them all with a butcher knife, simple as that. And upon escaping from the Lincoln State Mental Asylum, he went on a killing spree all around town, and making his #1 goal to break into the old home to retrieve the same knife he used to kill his family, which he left in a hidden crawl space where no one would be able to find it. It is also revealed that Neokalus is extremely physically strong, as in order to escape the mental facility, he completely pulverized one of the nurses' skulls by crushing it with his bare fucking hands. Jesus, the power of 5 gum, I guess. Later on, he finds out that due to his large killing spree, the police have been doing everything they can to find him. So to accommodate and fly under the radar, he would break into random homes and slaughter their inhabitants to use their houses as hideouts, and by repeating this process, he planned to slowly slaughter his way to the Johnson household. TLDR, Neokalus Burr's main abilities and skills are extreme physical strength, extreme speed of bodily regeneration, extreme stealth, and finally, extreme stamina. Now with all the rules and conditions out of the way, we can now move on to the solutions for beating Neokalus Burr. Solution 1. This first solution is definitely the worst out of the 5, but fleeing the house whilst Jack is being murdered would probably ensure your survival. The biggest downside is that this would most likely result in Billy dying. However, this may not be a downside to you. The actual upside is that you would have a great chance of surviving if you were to run to a police station, or simply find a police officer who is willing to help you, since remember, police are situated all over the town looking for Neokalus, so it shouldn't take long to find one wandering about on duty. Another big downside, however, is that this wouldn't neutralize Neokalus in any way. In the regular ending, Sarah shoots Neokalus a couple of times, buying her and Billy time to escape while the cops arrive. Escaping the household could result in Neokalus chasing after you, and, as I already established before, Neokalus has incredible stamina and well, no offense, but you aren't the peak of physical fitness when it comes to running, no offense. So most likely he would be able to catch up to you and kill you. But if he doesn't chase after you, he would most likely find and kill Billy. So could this really be the solution? Sacrificing a child's life to save your own, even if they're a piece of crap? No, I'm seeing a lot of no's. Okay, fine, next solution. Solution 2. A much better solution is to take Billy with you when you make your great escape, but much like the last solution, this comes with a lot of drawbacks. For one, Neokalus still could just chase after you and Billy, but it's also totally possible that he would just ignore you both and focus on retrieving his knife. There's no way to tell for sure what his choice would be, but assuming he decides to ignore you and focus on the knife, you and Billy could both escape and get help from the police. To be honest, this solution doesn't differ much from the last. The only difference is that you could potentially save Billy's life. Solution 3. This next solution is better than the last two, since it could hopefully save Jack's life too, and that is to simply wait the killer out. We know from the book that Sarah is aware of Neokalus' escape from the mental institution due to multiple news broadcasts being on the TV warning local residents to stay indoors and report any suspicious activity. So with this knowledge in mind, upon hearing suspicious noises coming from the backyard, instead of sending Jack to go investigate, you should call the police and go to hide somewhere with Jack and Billy. This solution does obviously come with a few risks. For example, it's not long after you hear noises coming from the backyard that Neokalus decides to break in. And by not long, I mean literally 30 seconds later, which isn't a lot of time for you to call the police and hide, let alone for the police to get there. Keep in mind, you won't be able to take the phone with you, as mobile phones don't exist yet, so you'd have to manually dial the number, get through to the police, explain your situation, and say where you live, all within 30 seconds, whilst brainstorming also a good hiding spot. Another problem is that even if you could pull off the police hide-and-seek magic trick, it's totally possible that Neokalus could stumble upon you with dumb luck, or if someone were to make a noise. I'm looking at you, Billy. Much like the last solutions, there's no telling whether or not Neokalus would change his actions depending on what you choose to do. Solution 4. This next solution is a combination of the last two. When you hear noises in the backyard, instead of calling the police and hiding, you should call the police and escape through the front door with Jack and Billy. But like I said, this is a combination of the last two, so naturally the solution comes with the same problems as previously. Almost immediately after hearing Neokalus, he smashes his way into the Johnson household. This would give you almost no time to call the police and inform Jack and Billy about what's going on, and successfully get them out of the house before Neokalus catches you. And this is assuming you can pull off the police magic trick again, just like in the second solution. There would be no way of knowing whether Neokalus would chase after you. It's entirely possible he may only focus on getting his knife and will just ignore you. However, it's also possible he will forget about his knife in order to attack you as to leave no witnesses to the crime. This solution, while being better than the last two, is still incredibly risky. Solution 5. This last solution is definitely the best. Simply, play the scenario out as it does in-game, but once you successfully neutralize Neokalus by shooting him, take the gasoline you already have from the shed, pour it all over him, and light the psycho up. This would most likely either outright kill him, or leave him stunned long enough for the police to arrive and take care of him. The only downside to this solution is that it wouldn't save Jack's life, but it also comes with a fine silver lining, that being that Neokalus would die or get arrested, and his killing spree would finally come to an end, potentially saving dozens more lives. In conclusion, I think we could have beaten Neokalus Burr from Babysitter Bloodbath. Let's take a quick recap who would have lived or died, assuming we made a few different decisions and went with solution 5. Sadly, I think Jack's death was generally inevitable, if we were going for the best possible ending here, where Neokalus is killed. And assuming even if Neokalus wasn't killed by the flames, he would eventually be killed by Big Bubba in the shower room of the mental asylum. Okay, on the flip side, we have Sarah, who survives this scenario. As the protagonist, she was generally bound to survive, I think, especially when she found the gun, being able to subdue Neokalus. Finally, Billy, the little freeloader. I think he would have been able to comfortably survive in this scenario, assuming he just found a good spot to hide out and wait for Sarah to finish Neokalus off, or for the police to arrive. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you like this concept and are excited for the coming episodes. Special thanks to 10th Basilisk 88 for helping me write the script, and Scissormon for the game footage. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, as it would mean the world to me if you did, as only 8.6% of you guys actually are. And remember, if there's a serial killer on the loose, don't go out and babysit. Trust me, it'll be a real bloodbath. See you in the next one.